Hello again, it's time for another Black City Coffee video. I'm going to take you through a part 2 about the Hottop K2 Plus. I just sat down and I didn't realize how many comments there were for my first video on this roasting machine, so you can check that out and kind of see everything that I went over there. But I just want to update it. It's been a couple of months since I've been roasting on this machine. I think I have some valuable insight to share, and maybe for those of you who are also roasting with the machine or thinking about roasting with this machine, you can kind of like compare notes. And I gotta tell you, that's what I did, is like I went to every blog that I could find about the Hottop. There was not a lot, but in the end it was more about, I really had to accept the idea that I was gonna have to just trial and error and just find out on my own. So after a while, and I feel like I am outgrowing this roaster, and I'll probably outgrow it by the end of this year, I'm ready to take that next step into a larger drum roaster. I'm thinking about the Mill City 1 kilo, so that'll be interesting. That's what I'm thinking right now. But I wanted to take you through and just update and upgrade and maybe just share some of the insights that I found, and just take you through my natural process of what I found to be consistent. And we're actually selling this coffee, and I'm very proud of this coffee that we're actually selling, and I wouldn't want to sell something that I'm not proud of. So and I did that. So where I was giving away coffee for free in the very beginning, just as like a thank you gift, like, hey, we're just doing something fun over here. And I did really take it seriously, and really try to nail down my profile and what I was giving to people once I opened shop on Etsy. And I'm okay with that right now. I'm not a pro by any means, but I just want to share and contribute back into the coffee community when I was going through these things, okay? A couple of upgrades from the last video. I now roast on this Surface, I think it's called. I'm not very good, I don't really know a lot of PC products, but it's this thing. So it's like a Microsoft Surface, it's a touchscreen. And after Artisan had upgraded to the 2.0 version, I just could not get it to work on my Mac. And it's a MacBook Pro Retina 15-inch thing, and like, no matter what I did, I tried to, download all the drivers and reinstall, and it didn't work for me. So this has not failed me. It's kind of, can get a little glitchy on its touch sensitivity. Sometimes it won't work and I'll be like, ah, or sometimes the mouse won't work and I'll be like, ah, and you really need to be right there when you need to make a decision, right? So yeah, but this has worked so far for me. So now I'm on a PC for this, and I just use this PC for this for roasting. Another thing that I saw in the comments of my first video on this machine was a great concern about the smoke. So Hottop as a company likes to say that they have a very good like smoke suppressing thing where they can capture a lot of smoke in the machine. And it's got this top filter here, and it's got this back filter here, and it's got a fan in the back. Let me just take this out. Okay, so I have been roasting probably a good 50 or 60 batches, maybe more, on this machine, because you have to do many batches in order to get a pound, probably a good eight batches that I do, and I'll take you through all the technicalities and the logistics of my setup. But this seems to capture a lot of the smoke. There will be some smoke coming out from the where you drop the beans in, like this chute here. Some smoke will come out of there. But since I roast at a very light roast profile, so I'm not gonna go past more than 2 minutes usually after first crack. And so I'm not trying to get into the like medium plus or even dark Italian, none of that. I'm not doing any of that, and I like staunchly stay away from that kind of roast type. If that's what you do and that's what you like and that's what you prefer, then expect, yeah, you're gonna need a lot more ventilation for yourself, like maybe being outside in the garage or something like that. But for me, I don't really have a problem. I clean this thing as much as I can. I go through a very thorough cleaning where I'll turn this around, unscrew the whole fan in the back there, vacuum every little piece. There's a wire that sticks out that you can see that's exposed, and you just kind of have to be careful with that, be gentle with it. And it will accumulate a lot of this like coffee, crumbly, powdery substance, and it gets quite sticky, I guess, from the oils from the coffee. So I just try to clean that as much as possible. As I see these little like fluffy things come out of the fan, yeah, it's time to clean it. And it takes time because you got to unscrew everything and all that stuff. So, but well worth it. You know, you want your machine to always be running in good condition. Another thing is to keep this guy clean as much as possible. And this, it's already sticky. So this isn't just a regular drill, and this is like a stiff bristle drill head cleaning attachment. And I'll use this to clean this really quickly. And then wash it and make sure to drain it this way, not the other way, because there's a hole here and the water will rush through here. If you drain it this way, water will get stuck in here and probably start causing some rust and things like this. And if you haven't dried this thing all the way and you go to roast, you're gonna be introducing a lot more moisture into your beans, just messing up your roast, okay? So I find that as you roast, you're gonna accumulate oils, whether you're doing light, medium, or dark, where you won't be able to tell when you're having a proper yellow and you're calling it like, ooh, cool, I don't see any more green in the coffee. I can call it because I can see it clearly. I found that sometimes I would get lazy, or I didn't even know in the beginning that this window can get cloudy with oils and coffee and stuff like this. So, and it would be quite a task to just like try to clean it with, you know, soap and water and a regular sponge. So try this, it's really easy. It gets really into the cracks and stuff. I have some burn marks here or singeing from probably when I first started roasting and I didn't understand my roaster. That's fine. See, some chaff just came out right there. So I always have this hand vacuum. Vacuum that right up and try to keep this clear of any chaff as possible, because you know that they start lovely little fires. Another thing too, less and less I'm getting issues of so many stuck burnt beans in the drum. I still get one of them every single time. There will be one or two in there. It's annoying. Another thing too is when you do your deep clean and you take out the drum and all that stuff, I would say that you want to do that every 5 or 6. You could push that a little bit if you're roasting light. And just make sure, like for my machine, a clump of chaff, even though I clean this guy out and I vacuum and everything, a clump will be right there in the right hand corner of the machine, just like stuck in there, especially if you're roasting a coffee that has a lot of chaff, you know. So that would be something to just watch out for. So let's get into the technicalities of stuff. So I found it really hard, like, how do I document it in a way that's gonna work for me? When I went to my first roasting class, they had this really cool form. It's all printed, it's really nice. But I found that I couldn't really work with that as fluidly as I wanted to, because there were just certain things that I don't know, like it just didn't work for me really. Everything was too structured. And if you get into roasting, it becomes kind of intuitive, I would say. Like there's just a look and a smell and a feel and the time and the experience that you had from the last roast, and you're making like small adjustments to nail it, right? Like, ooh, I want to do this during, I want to roast for this amount of time and get my yellow down to 4 minutes or something like this, right? So you're trying to make all these little minute decisions because you're looking for that perfect roast profile, I guess. And it will change. It won't always be true to data. but there's a sort of fluidity with roasting. I think that's just been my experience. So how I've come to do it nowadays, and I'm roasting in succession, like say I've got a pound order, I know that if I'm roasting something, say I'm roasting something that I'm pretty comfortable with, but I still want to make sure and take notes and make sure I'm being consistent with my roast, I will start like this. Okay, so this is how my notepad looks. I'll break it down for you. I have the date, I have what kind of bean, so I'll say Costa Rica Terrazoo, double wash, just to let me know, because I can't keep all this in my head. Like the most that you can put down on paper, that's awesome. I could definitely, you know, since I use Artisan, I could like save those pieces of data, but I feel like I don't need all of that stuff, and I wanted something even quicker, even faster for me to access in terms of data. And I'll go number 1, and I'll start with the time. And I only put the time down because I'm trying to just, you know, this is not my this is not my job. I'm trying to see where I can scale time, or how much time does it take me to roast a pound, and how does that relate to what if I got 5 pounds, like what does that mean in terms of how much time do I have to give up? Because if you run your own business, like you start realizing that your time is very valuable, and you can't just be doing whatever you want all the time, right? So I write down the time. And then if it's a bean that I'm not quite familiar with, I will write down the charge temperature if it differs from, say, 400. So right now I'm charging my Rwanda bean at 400 degrees, and I'm charging my Costa Rican at 420. So how I'll do that is I will charge to whatever time I need to charge. And this I found pretty helpful. This is what I like. I'll break it down for you, okay? In terms of how I start to roast. So what I do is when I open up Artisan and I have my computer connected, I won't do through it right now because you won't be able to hear me. I double click on the timer, right? So to enact the thing, then I'll hit Control. Now the machine is on, the motor will start turning. And then I hit on, so to start monitoring the temperature. Then I turn the burner up to 100, and then I wait. And I wait till about, if it's my Rwandan, then I wait till about 400 degrees. Then I hit start to start recording. I lower the temperature all the way down to 0. And then I hit air, and I put air at 20. And that's how I charge. So I was trying to mimic what I've been learning through Mill City Roasters Roasting School. You should check that out. And transferring what they teach. And sometimes it's a little hard to get through, but like, I'm just trying to pick up whatever I can, because learning is not like a one-way line. It's like, oh, and you just start picking up things, or like, oh, this makes more sense now. Let me go back and fix my basics, or my foundation, or rather. And that's how I charge, okay? So when I hit turning point, or when the beans have come to the same temperature as the environment, called TP on the Artisan, and you see that line go like this, boop, then I increase the heat back up to 100, and then I also increase my air to about 30. So I just ride that for a little bit, and I ride that to about 2 minutes 30. For my Rwanda specifically, and this is going to change for every bean. And then how old is that bean? I mean, how dry is that bean? How moist is that bean? Whatever. So I'm at 230, and now I come down to about 90 on my heat. Keep my air the same. And then 330 rolls around, and I bring my heat down to 80. And then 330, and then I'm at 4. And then I bring it down to most likely at this time, usually around 4:15, 4:20. I'm going to hit my dry end where all the beans in there are completely yellow. So maybe I'm seeing a hint of green somewhere, but pretty much uniformly I'm seeing yellow, okay? And I'm gonna call it, and I'll say dry end, and I hit dry end on the Artisan. And then and then I'm riding 70 on my heat, and then I increase my air to 50. So I'm a 50-70 on my settings on my air and burner on the artisan. So air and heat, 50-70. And the reason being is because I'm trying to get a roast profile that I've been taught is supposed to be 40%, 40%, 20% of the total roast time. And that's what I'm always shooting for. So if I'm over that or under that, something's off. And you can start by adjusting things like batch size. My batch size. So max capacity of this is 250 grams, right? I came down to a size of 140 grams, and I did this by trial and error because I wanted to hit dry end at 4 minutes. So I configured just on my own, like, okay, I'm already charging at 400. It's a pretty high elevation beam, but I'm not hitting dry end fast enough. It would always be kind of late. I'd feel like 5 minutes or something. And it's not to say that 5 minutes is too late or wrong or incorrect, but for me it was not working out. So 140 grams, and I've been sticking with that for the Rwanda. Okay, so we're riding 50-70, and we're now in what we call the Maillard phase, or the middle phase, or the nameless phase, or the phase where all of the caramelization and chemical reactions happen. There's so many like non-consensus about like what's going on during a roast, and that's kind of the fun of it too. Frustrating and fun. I ride that until about, I would say, 6 minutes, and then I'm just starting to pay attention to what it looks like. I'm paying attention to the bready smells, baking bread, and I will most likely come down to about 60 if I feel like it. So sometimes depending, right? Like I'll have to look at my rate of rise and see if I'm going down steadily. I'm just taking all of this in, and a lot of times it just feels very intuitive. And really, as a roaster, you just need to go it. You just need to go through it, go through the motions. And I'll wait till about 340, 358 degrees. That's when I'm probably gonna hear my first crack. And by then it's probably around 8 minutes 20. And then that is when I crank up the heat. I crank up the air to 100, and then I crank down the heat to about 20. And I let it ride then. And we ride that out for a good 2 minutes. So if I got first crack at even like 8:58, I'm dropping at 11:58. And even though say these little like, the data right here will be like, you're at 18.8% on the roast development phase, like the last phase of the roast, what I've been taught is I will still follow the time, not that percentage. The time overrules that data point in the artisan. And that's what I've been taught. So I was like, okay, it's really about the time. We don't want to get the time too muddled. We want to be a little bit, strict and stern about the time. When you're stopping this, when you're increasing this, when you're stopping this, when you're dropping this. And so that's it. Then I drop the beans. I let them cool for about 2-3 minutes. I keep touching them. Another trick that was taught to me is I'll take a bean, just chew it right there, swallow it, and I can taste, and I'll want to taste for any defects in the coffee. Smoke is a big one that I think is the easiest to detect, and that's because if you didn't introduce enough air during the phases of dry end and first crack, then a lot of the smoke that was being released from inside of the bean got trapped in the bean, creating that smoky flavor. Soy sauce, cooked meats, that sort of thing. Which will mean a lot of the flavor, the nuanced flavor, will be lost forever. And then that's it. And because of how cool this machine is, it like cools the bean fairly quickly. And I take that small batch size of 140 grams, which came in raw or green as 140 grams, has now lost weight due to that moisture escaping the bean during first crack, and is now a little bit lighter. which comes out to be a little bit over. It comes out to be like 4.22 ounces, which is perfect for my sampler bag. So one batch, and I'm probably roasting at like 60 something capacity of this roaster. And they do recommend that you roast at least 70% of your roaster. That's what's been taught to me in the literature. And it's good. So I only have to do that 4 times to get a pound, right? So that's pretty cool. So that will take me about 2 hours, and that's roasting back to back. You can't roast back to back if you just use this machine. It won't let you. It's got safety features. But if you roast with the Artisan, you can manually override all of its safety features and not hear that annoying beeping, and just use the Artisan and roast back to back. So you could be a little bit more efficient with your time if you've got a lot of people who want your coffee. I'll just do that. If I find that, hey, I reached drying a little too late, I need to charge higher. Maybe I need a smaller batch size. Maybe I need to, I don't know, increase the heat, whatever, right? So I'll make little notes like this, and then I'll go number 2, and I'll make that adjustment that I need to make here. And I found that in my research, real roasters, like legit ones that are using all those 20 kilo machines and stuff, their first couple of roasts on their machine are not going to be as dialed in as their 7th and 8th, because things are always changing. A coffee bean is alive. It's like you could literally, like, if the germ inside of the bean is not dead, you could plant it and it will grow. I just learned that. I was like, whoa, cool. So coffee is always, it's a very much a live thing. It's not just this thing that sits there and then, you know what I mean? So things are always changing, and you as the roaster just need to be aware of that and respect that and accept that. Not to get frustrated, but just like, oh, cool, interesting. Like, this Rwanda today is different and coming from the same bag. Cool, what's up with that? You know, and you just make your adjustments, and I think that's the fun of it, you know. So I'll go like that, and I'll make my little notes, and I'll be like, what the heck? What's going on here? And I'll just write it down. And for a while I wasn't writing stuff down. I got kind of lazy. So don't be lazy. Write stuff down. I think the legal pad is really nice because you can just easily move through things, and like weird little, like, you know, spiral bounds don't get caught in your way. So that's pretty cool. I've worked through a lot of notebooks, and I love this one the best. I think the legal pad is very good. Another resource that I want to share with you that I bought before I even got the roaster. Actually, I didn't buy this. My husband bought this for me as a gift. Is Scott Rowe's Roaster's Companion, and this was $45. But you know, he believed in me, so I was like, okay, I will read it. But this has been really great to just go, and you're like, I think I get it, and then you go do it, and you're like, oh, okay, and then come back to this book again and again and again, and more things will make sense to you, and more things will like open to you, and you're like, oh, cool, now I know, like. And you just keep building upon your foundation of being a roaster. And it's super, super fun. I hope I answered all of your questions in the comments. I think most of them are about smoke, or is this something that I want to buy? I hope I shared between this video and the one that I first made a couple months back, that you can make an informed decision and decide, you know, is this for me? I feel like if you're gonna roast at home, I guess it depends where you want to go. So I knew I was going to take coffee seriously. I knew I was going to really try and learn how a pro does it, and apply it to this tiny little machine. It's been just that. So I think as long as your expectations are in check and you know what you're getting this type of machine for, it's not cheap, $1,600, right? So, and also be willing to deal with, if you're gonna use Artisan, be willing to deal with the technological walls that you may face with that. You know, just be real. Be real and do your research, ask questions, do all the things, and you will be A-okay. And have an enthusiasm for learning, right? You gotta have to want to learn about this stuff. Even if it's over your head, to be like, I don't get that right now, but I think I get this, and then just go from there, right? We can't take all the steps at once, and have fun with it. Alrighty, Hillary, you were asking, am I gonna sell this machine? Probably not, but honestly, like, you wouldn't want this. Like, look how singed it is. Wouldn't you want your own? I mean, I know it's expensive, but no, I'll probably keep it as a sampler roaster. Like, say somebody just wanted, I only needed 4 ounces, then cool, I'm gonna still use this. Like, I do not expect to become this huge roaster or anything like that. I think I have to upgrade in order to serve more people in the way that I want to, but I won't, I don't know. I can't see it right now that I would be getting anything larger than that. Unless it somehow took over our business, which I highly doubt it. Because it's really not my goal. It's, I really would just like to, you know, like my mission here in Black City Coffee is to inform people. I have my own itch to scratch in terms of roasting and becoming a roaster, but not to open up this like coffee shop and be like a barista. No, I don't want to do that. So I won't be selling my machine. I'll probably keep it as a sample roaster or a tiny roaster or to do mini roasts. It's all good. I was thinking of doing like an Airbnb experience where we could be one-on-one together, and we could just geek out about coffee, and you can make your own coffee, and you know, we could do all these coffee things. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if that's something that you think you'd be down for. I think that it could be fun. You know, I get to geek out with somebody who loves coffee too, which I don't have a lot of people in my life like that, just my sister, but we do that on the regular, so. I hope that helps. Hottop, flawed, but very cool and very fun, and it is really allowing me to learn a lot. I'm learning so much. I love it still so much. I love it even more. I will see you next time. Bye.